check rear seats for passengers. Like this right here, this is attached with brad nails. It's coming out. I don't want to mount to that. I'd rather take a little extra time and
they have a couple screws in the
do it right. So yeah, we were just looking at what to do about mounting the vest racks to the wall. Normally with a new install, we have a 2x8 board mounted directly to the wall. In this case, since we're retrofitting, we're working with what was already there. There was a, you can see up here, particle board, which is brad nailed into the wall. So that's not the most sturdy way to do it. With this sort of 2x4 frame and a 1/2 inch MDF on the front. Not quite as sturdy as what we would normally do. So we're looking at ways to, we're thinking we're gonna need to take this apart and redo it with a 2x8 board, just to get a sturdier, better looking solution. We're just about to get started putting up the vest racks, but before we can do that, first we have to put up our 2x8s or 2x10 boards and firmly attach those to the wall. The racks are only as strong as the wall they're attached to, so this part's pretty important. Usually we're going into drywall, and that is again the case today. So we're gonna have to do a couple things to make sure that that board is tight with the wall. We use toggle bolts to anchor it in place, and liquid nails to help ensure that that board doesn't come off 10, 15, 20 years later. It needs to be holding up. So we've got our boards cut and measured here. We're about to start putting one up right now. First we need to put some liquid nails on the back. So we just started unpacking the bases, targets, and mines. You can see we've got a kind of a standard package here, which is 2 bases, 2 of these cyber elements, which act like a mine and shut down players nearby when they're hit, as well as 4 targets. So the smaller targets can go inside of props, or they can just go on the walls for bonus points to trigger special effects and play sound effects. So we're gonna go ahead and pick out some locations for this right now. We often have a pretty good idea of where they're gonna go before we arrive, but oftentimes when you walk through the arena, you see some things that didn't come out to you on the plan. So we'll start with the easy part, the bases. So the first base structure is gonna mount inside up here. It needs power, but it does not need a Cat5 wire. So it is a wireless base that runs back to the PC. Now we're doing base number 2. Again, it's a wireless base that's gonna go right in here. The other function of these bases is they actually can provide power and data to the other targets. So later on, we're gonna run a cable from this base out to the other targets so that we don't have to run those wires back to the computer. Next up, we've got the cyber elements. So these guys, they're gonna glow orange and kind of act like a mine in most games. So when you tag them, they're gonna fire back and hit the other players. The first one, we've got a spot picked out for. It's gonna go up on that upper play structure level, and we're going to position it so that players from down here, where I'm standing right now, will be able to hit it up on that wall by that orange caution sign up there, and use it to deactivate the players who are up on the sniper deck. The reason for that is a lot of times players tend to congregate in the upper levels, and it's hard to get them to come down. So you end up with, you know, a nice 4,000 square foot arena, but 16 of the players are in 800 square feet upstairs. So giving the downstairs more of an advantage and a way to fight back against people on the balcony can help make the whole arena play better and be more useful. These are the cyber targets. They're worth 100 bonus points. They can also trigger different sound effects, DMX effects, and they all glow different colors. So we're going to pick some spots. Usually we put these up higher, 8 to 10 feet, so still within eye line, but not too low. And we spread them out around the arena to encourage players to use the whole arena to get those bonus points. So when we're picking spots out, usually these don't require any power, so they just require a daisy-chained black network cable. That's very easy to hide on the walls here. And we're going to try and pick spots to spread them evenly around the arena so that the whole arena gets a little more use. So we've already got a base and a mine here. So probably we'll put one in this corner, or possibly on this little archway here. When I'm doing this, I have to think through how am I going to get my cable there. So I can run it around the wall, along the back side of this ramp, into this archway. And then it'll kind of encourage people to use this corner. If you look at this corner of the arena, ordinarily this wouldn't get a whole lot of use. It's a little bit of a dead zone. But having targets that are only accessible from back here will help get players into more of those corners. So I'll leave one right here for that. Got 3 more left. Probably down in this corner would be good. Again, it's another area that might not get a ton of use if there wasn't something to draw people into it. And probably one more downstairs, and then I'll put that last target upstairs, just to kind of spread it out as much as possible. So we're getting ready to install those vest racks now. The boards, as you can see, are nice and bolted on with liquid nails and toggle bolts. And we're putting up the power supplies and cleaning up the wiring. When we come through at the end, we've got a 6-inch cover that's going to come over the top of this and hide all the wires. So we're putting those wires in underneath so they won't be visible and they'll be protected once we're done. So what we're doing here is lining the top of the rack up on the chalk line. You want that to be between 42 and 44 inches. And we're centering the vest rack on our marks. We've marked spacings to evenly space them across the board. And that spacing needs to be at least 12 inches. 12 to 14 is typical. So I've got this one lined up. We're going to put the first 2 screws in. This washer going over the screw, that helps allow the pressure to be evenly spaced on the rack. So that even if the screw doesn't go in perfectly flat, the pressure isn't angled on the plastics, and it's going to help keep those plastics in good shape longer. We also installed a simple start button on the wall. So this start button, when you're busy on your Friday and Saturdays, you press the button, it automatically starts music, fog, vest, scoring, everything with one push. So your operator doesn't have to use a computer or a complicated remote or anything to keep things moving along. So our final day, we do cleanup. We make sure to leave the arena and the workspace better than we found it. And then we'll do some training. So we're going to show you the basics on how to start up the system, shut it down, and play the games. Then we'll go into the back end a little bit, talk about the phaser diagnostics, the owner reporting, how to change team names and colors, and even how to script your own games if you're interested in some of that back end information.